Krishna 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 Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare Krishna Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Krishna Vancha Kalpa Taropyasya Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you everyone for joining and chatting so beautifully. May I know who all joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Neetu Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving us the suggestion. Welcome to the call and chatting so beautifully. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna
Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Go ahead, Mataji.
Go ahead. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna Yashamati Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call and chanting so beautifully.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharva Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai, Preeti Dasi from Shad. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nice to hear your sweet voice Mataji. Thank you so much for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? We'll wait for 1 minute. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. So Prabhuji will be joining in 2 minutes. I will start and I will read the quote. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Before we start the call, I would like to read today's quote. October 4th, Krishna is not poor. Krishna has not come here. He is very hungry. He has come here to eat your puris and rasgulla. No, but Krishna, one second. But Krishna is so kind that he has come before you to accept whatever you can offer with devotion. Bombay, October 4th, 1972. Hare Krishna. So today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda, 12th chapter, verses 214 to 224. Prabhuji will be joining shortly. We can wait for him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Prabhuji is here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning. We are very fortunate to have you on the call. So today's verses are 12th chapter, 214 to 224, Adi Khanda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams, always Shri Prabhupada, and it's always my pleasure to be in the assembly of devotees to discuss the pastimes of the Lord. So we will start with our invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are discussing from chapter 12, text number 214 through 224. This is a chapter with the title, The Lord's Wandering Throughout Navadvipa. Vishnu Dware Vasilena Gauranga Sundaram Chalila Paduya Varga Yara Yataghara. Sri Gaura Sundaram sat down at the door of his Vishnu temple, and his students all returned to their homes. Eki Prabhu Paurnamasi Chandrera Udaya Vrindavana Chandra Bhava Haila Hridaya. As Nimai saw the full moon one night, his heart became absorbed in the mood of Sri Vrindavana Chandra. Apurva Murali Dhvani Lagila Karite Ai Bhai Are Keha Napaya Sunite. Nimai then began to play a flute in a most enchanting tune, which only Mother Sachi could hear. Tribhuvana Mohana Murali Suni Ai Ananda Magane Murcha Kela Seitai. When Mother Sachi heard the sound of that flute, which attracts the three worlds, she fell unconscious in ecstasy. Kshaneka Chaitanya Pai Stirakari Manam Apurva Muralidhvani Karena Shravanam. After a while, she regained consciousness and steadied her mind as she continued listening to the wonderful sound of the flute. Ekane Vashiya Ache Gauranga Sundaram Sehi Dike Sunilena Vamsi Manoharam. Sachi then noticed that the enchanting sound of the flute was coming from the direction where Nimai was sitting. Adbhuta Suniyai Aila Bahire Deke Putra Vasiyache Vishnu Raduyare. Mother Sachi came outside in astonishment and saw that her son was sitting at the door of the Vishnu temple. Ara nahi payena sunite vamsinadam putrera hridaye dheke akashera chandam. She could no longer hear the sound of the flute, but she saw the full moon on the chest of her son. Putra vakshe deke chandra mandala sakshate Vishmita hayya ai chahe chari bite. Seeing the moon on the chest of her son, Sachi was struck with wonder and began looking around. Grihe ashi vasi ai lagila chintite ki hetu nishchaya kichu na pare karite. Mother Sachi then went back inside and began to think about the reason for such a vision. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So it is so wonderful that we are going to discuss about Nimai in the mood of Vrindavana Chandra. During the manifested pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as when he appeared as himself, Supreme Lord Krishna, there are several occasions the Lord, even though who is the controller of the universe, couldn't control his emotions. Rupa Goswami Pad, whilst explaining the glories of pure devotional service, he explains that Krishna Akarshani, he says, pure devotional service is so sublime, so wonderful that it can attract the Supreme Lord. Many times we spoke how pure devotional service, chanting the holy name of the Lord, Shuddha Nam, and being in association of Krishna himself in Goloka Vrindavan Dham, they are all synonymous to each other. They are all one and same. But when we discuss such pastimes, when the Lord appeared as Nimai, Chaitanya, he exhibits those emotions by which he forgets his identity as a Bhakta avatar and he gets captivated by his own wonderful pastimes. So Krishna consciousness is so wonderful that even Krishna is captivated by this Krishna consciousness. The form of Lord Jagannath, the form of Gaura Chandra in various pastimes, both in the pastime of him in Jagannath Puri, as well as we are seeing here when the Lord is wandering through the forest of, through the city of Navadvipa. He is not able to control his own emotions. And Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction, a Uttamadhikari Bhakta who does not discriminate between anyone for anything, and one who is above all dualities, he is very kind and compassionate, that he respects everyone as Krishna's energy or Krishna's family. And such a Uttamadhikari Bhakta, just to help innocent, ignorant, they take the role of Madhyamadhikari, who has to discriminate, to classify between ignorant and innocent, vis-a-vis envious and arrogant, and perform service. The point is, such Uttamadhikari Bhaktas, when they come down to Madhyamadhikari and perform the role of a preacher, teacher, guru, also sometimes not able to control their emotions. Srila Prabhupada in particular is not very appreciative of magic babas. He makes a very clear statement that we are not claiming ourselves to be God, or does not want to misguide, misdirect the society. So we are against the ideology of trying to show someone black magic or some sort of a false promise to attract their attention. We very clearly present how we are not God, but servant of God, and will be interested in taking everyone to God. So Prabhupada, whilst taking that position, at certain specific instances, have really gone past those state and operated and lost his external presence and dived deep into the bhava of the Lord, which very seldom Prabhupada exhibited. You would have never seen Prabhupada publicly crying, weeping, or expressing some sort of a very esoteric emotions, because he was playing a very crystal clear role of an acharya. Acharya means I am a master teacher, guiding someone to walk the Krishna conscious path. Though I have all those emotions that are explained in this. So this Krishna consciousness process is a very natural process. It's a very attractive process. And when one gets attracted, they are not able to control and handle themselves. What if that person is even Krishna himself? So that is what this Leela's, a basic summary. We will analyze, dissect more deeper into this portion of a pastime. So we will discuss through some sets of reflection or some set of points. When Krishna was a small baby, when Krishna was in the lap of Mother Yashoda, Mother Yashoda would regularly recite some songs and even narrate some pastimes from Ramayana. So it is explained that one time when Mother Yashoda was explaining this pastime of the Lord Rama, Krishna, as a small baby, he exhibited the symptom. He exhibited the bodily gesture, hand movements, as if he is assuming the role of Lord Rama. So much so, to the extent that Mother Yashoda get confused. How come this boy is able to, as a small baby, is able to understand and relate and perform certain details which Mother Yashoda had not narrated? During the pastime of Krishna eating the mud, when Mother Yashoda was looking inside Krishna's mouth, she got so much astonished that she started to fold her hands and started to worship the Lord, because what she saw inside Krishna's mouth was, something very surprising and unexplainable. So she started to fold her palms and started to worship Krishna. So Acharyas are explaining that Krishna developed some restlessness and had butterflies in his belly and started to feel afraid. For what? What if Mother Yashoda is going to start worship me? Krishna did not want that. Krishna did not want Mother Yashoda at any point in time to worship himself as God. So immediately Krishna became a naughty boy. So over here we see how the pastimes, or when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai, when he saw the full moon, he developed, got absorbed in the mood of Vrindavana Chandra and started playing flutes. But when Mother Sachi came out, she couldn't figure that out where that sound is coming, so it kind of was hidden or not revealed. When Krishna was in Dwaraka, in Brihad Bhagavata Amrita, part 1 at the fag end, there is a wonderful description. When Narada Muni was in Krishna's house in search of Uddhava, he saw Uddhava, Balaram, Rohini Mata, Rukmini, Kamsa's mother Padmavati. They were all assembled there, and when Narada Muni went and glorified Uddhava, Uddhava was explaining how whatever Narada Muni explains about Uddhava being the recipient of Lord's mercy, which could be true, but in the real sense they are not true. And he starts to glorify about the gopis of Vrindavan. In that context, Rukmani Devi is explaining about her experience of Krishna's mood of remembering Vrindavan. She says that there are days where Krishna used to call different names, completely irrelevant, out of context to Dwaraka. He used to call Rukmini with different names. He used to call out the names of cows. He used to make the sound of cows in his sleep. He used to keep his mouth as if he is playing the flute when he is sleeping. Sometimes he used to sob, crying, so much so that the pillows would get wet with his tears. Sometimes he would not wake up too late in the morning. Sometimes he would not sleep. He would be completely absorbed in the thought of Vrindavan Vasis. She shared that none of you can understand what, as a wife, I go through. Krishna may be physically here, but his thoughts and consciousness is always around Vrindavan. So, to put it in a nutshell, as a first reflection, I wanted to say that Krishna consciousness, Krishna prem, the pastimes of the Lord is so wonderful that it even attracts Krishna. So what is there for us to learn? As Prabhupada explains in the introduction to Nectar of Devotion, when we perform devotional service, when we perform activities which are pleasing to the Lord, when we bring someone in Krishna consciousness, when we cultivate our Krishna consciousness and help others practice Krishna consciousness, we become dear to the Lord because the Lord gets attracted to his own devotional service. So to become dear to the Lord, we don't even need to dance in front of the Lord. We understand the mood of the Lord, and if we're able to function. Sometimes we see devotees have done unconventional services. Unconventional services, for example, Jayananda Prabhu performing some unconventional service of, calling out all those vegetable vendors and, market brokers who assisted Jayananda Prabhu to build the broken Ratha cart, the Jagannath cart. Jayananda Prabhu had to give them, alcohol, had to give them whatever intoxicant that they were consuming. It was very unconventional, very unheard of. But he is glorified for the mood and intention with which he functioned. So as a first reflection, I want to say that service, that opportunity, that mood, when we absorb ourselves in, attracts Krishna, is easily imbibable, it is easily followable if we just apply what our acharyas have expected of us in our daily lives, and we will one day become very, very dear to Krishna. To get the Krishna Akarshani, Rupa Goswami Pad is explaining, this is rarely achieved. And Krishna gets attracted, and we see here Nimai, not only once, not only twice, in his manifested Leela several times, gets attracted. When he saw the ocean of Jagannath Puri, he suddenly thought it was Yamuna and went and jumped inside that. When he saw Alarnath deities, feeling in separation from the Lord, he started crying and weeping and jumping and running in front of Jagannath Ratha Yatra. Rupa Goswami was witness to this. Rupa Goswami saw with his own eyes how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken the form of Srimati Radharani and getting attracted to the form of Jagannath, and they had a very wonderful loving exchange. We did discuss about this pastime during Antya Leela, one of the chapters. Rupa Goswami then and there is writing a prayer. As soon as he saw this scene, he immediately picked up his pocket note and just scribbling a prayer, which was eventually appreciated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as a reflection, as a take home, as a lesson for us to learn, we need to understand that Krishna consciousness, the process of Krishna consciousness, in one sense, is beyond and able to control Krishna himself. If something for which Krishna is controlled, and that is his own devotion, and that devotion resides where? Who owns the devotion? It is in Krishna's devotees' hands. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara shakati ache, ami to kangala, Krishna Krishna boli dai tava pache pache. So if you put the flow chart very clearly, a Vaishnava, a pure devotee of the Lord, is the one who is the powerhouse, who is the owner of Krishna Prem. And number two, step two, that Vaishnava is mercifully giving that Krishna prem to everyone, and anyone who understands this secret, latches the lotus feet of that Vaishnava and follows his instruction, will be able to be the recipient of that Krishna prem. And when one becomes the recipient of the Krishna prem, Krishna even get attracted to that person. So Krishna being attracted, Krishna get captivated, Krishna gives himself, is subject to how much Krishna prem, which is owned by a Vaishnava, we are able to inherit and imbibe. This is my first reflection. It is slightly a deeper analysis of what the Leela that we read. The Leela is very simple, that Nimai is enjoying his Vrindavan mood. But if you just churn this and go deeper inside, if just looking at a full moon, Nimai is able to transport himself, couldn't control that he is playing the role of Bhakta Avatar, he is able to jump to, he is able to move out of the zone of a role play and get to his natural self. Then for sure such privilege of Krishna getting attracted to anyone, like Prataparudra. Prataparudra could not attract Mahaprabhu's attention till that point in time when the necessary devotional quality needed in a sadhaka was exhibited with innocence, and naturally Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his attention, not just attention, he gave himself. So to put the whole perspective in one box, Krishna consciousness, Krishna prem, devotional service attracts Krishna. So if you want Krishna, please serve him. And service to him means service to his devotees. And service to his devotees and pleasing him, pleasing them is considered as the highest form of devotion, and even the Supreme Lord will not be able to control himself but to give himself to that person. This is the first reflection. The second reflection is in terms of how the sound of a flute is a very captivating, and the flute and Krishna's Vrindavan Vasis. So we will do a small analysis and how Krishna sometimes plays some very wonderful pastimes, and through those pastimes Krishna tries to deliver, tries to enjoy himself and give enjoyment to others. As we all know, Krishna has got his unique communication channel. Krishna's unique communication channel is his playing of flute. Every individual Vrindavan Vasis, whether it is cows, birds, trees, people, boys, girls, every Jiva Rasi in Vrindavan had their reason to be in Vrindavan, and they were eternally captivated to the Supreme Lord's transcendental form and pastimes. So, and Krishna naturally reciprocates to each and every one of them. In fact, Krishna chooses to perform certain pastimes only to reciprocate their emotions, but on the side he will also look after certain administrative functions of finishing off demons and things like that. So when Krishna plays his flute, once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions in Madhya Leela, last chapter or last but one chapter, either in Rupa or Sanatana Siksha, he's mentioning that the mood in Vrindavan is so captivating that the birds stop chirping, the trees stop waving, and the entire activities comes to stand still, hearing the wonderful musical sound vibration. Because Krishna enchants everyone through that. So what happens is that when he starts playing the flute, there is some specific type of flute sound for a specific communication. So especially on a full moon night, either is Rasa Purnima or the last day of Kartik. There are two Purnimas. Kartik starts on the first Purnima, I think it's Rasa Purnima, the last one is Rasa Purnima. So there are two Purnimas that, Purnima system or, Ekadashi system, the two systems of Damodar month. So when the Lord, every full moon night, especially in the month of Kartik, full moon night means celebrations and enjoyment. So when Nimai saw, because Nimai is none other than Srimati Radharani, personality with the Radharani's Bhava. And when he saw full moon night, he remembered those Rasa Leela days, Rasa Purnima days. Sharad Purnima and Rasa Purnima. Yeah, the Purnima that is going to come is called Sharad Purnima, and the last day of Kartik is called Rasa Purnima. And all the full moon days, especially full moon days, when Krishna used to have a union with gopis, it used to be a very wonderful moment for both gopis as well as Krishna. So what happens is that when Krishna used to start playing the flute, the gopis, whatever they were doing in their own respective houses, they completely get choked up. They completely get frozen, freezed. They won't be able to do any other functions. It is like, sometimes kids or the, college goers, they make plans to go on a trip. Sometimes letting their parents know, sometimes not letting the parents know. And they may have made several plans. And when the time approaches or when signal comes that people are assembling, then you can't do any other functions normally. I have several times had this experience of during my school days when our friends used to call us for playing cricket. My parents were very good people, but then sometimes because of our own, atrocities that we keep on playing, never study, so they get concerned and restrict. So fearing my parents' restriction, sometimes we have to do all sorts of manipulations and adjustments to go out. Similarly, all the gopis, they were completely not able to be their normal self as soon as they heard Krishna's sound and Krishna is calling them. The sad or the interesting part of it, not the sad part of it, the interesting part of it, Krishna keep on playing the flute. So they are not able to function. If Krishna says once, it's okay. It's like, if somebody is constantly giving a missed call and you do not want your family to know that somebody is calling you and divert their attention towards you, so you get a little restless. So these gopis get restless, both in terms of being captivated by the Lord's attention, as well as the fear of what they will be stopped. But somehow, because Krishna desired, because Yoga Maya arranged, these gopis would tell some reason so convincingly that they will be leaving the house. Some of them would not even tell they will leave, as if they are going to come back soon, or they will, they're just stepping out for some emergency. It is explained that the gopis, when they leave the house and be with Krishna and enjoying their personal private moment, there are an alternative arrangements of Chaya gopis. The shadows of these gopis were arranged by Krishna so that they are placeholders. They are replacement for the original ones, so that the house situation is under control. This thing is not known, not told to the gopis, because if they know, then they'll get complacent, they'll get free, they'll get relaxed. Krishna did not want them to do that. Krishna wanted this loving exchange, meeting, mixed with this anxiety, love, eagerness, at the same time restlessness, to increase the mellow, to intensify the love. All these things happened on generally full moon night or after the sunset technically. So when Nimai saw a full moon, Nimai couldn't control himself, so he remembered playing the flute and calling these gopis. What is so interesting in this is Krishna longed for them. They were also longing for Krishna. This flute sound brought the union between Krishna and the gopis. But then when the union happened, Krishna personally gave attention to each and every gopi. But one of them, or few of them, or all of them per se, started to feel, started to exhibit a sign of pride, that now I control Krishna. Now I hold Krishna. Now I am with Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami explains that moment, that instance, when the gopis thought like that, Krishna vanished. Krishna completely vanished from the scene, leaving this gopi in the middle of the dance. Interestingly, Radharani was also missing. So everybody thought that maybe Krishna and Radharani have gone somewhere privately. And to their confirmation, they saw Krishna and Radharani's lotus feet imprint. They were tailing them to chase where Krishna was going to be. After a point in time, they couldn't even find Krishna's lotus feet or Radharani's lotus feet. Then they thought one of them was carrying the other. Though they were in anxiety, though they were completely, disturbed of missing Krishna, they were searching for Krishna in anxiety with mixed emotions. They saw Srimati Radharani after a point in time crying and weeping and coming, because Krishna ran away from her also. That is the moment all the gopis sat together and sang this Gopi Geet. Sukadeva Goswami writes, and Prabhupada writes there, that the slightest mood of pride, or you can call arrogance, or you can call accomplishment, that yes, I achieved Krishna, does not go well with this pure devotional service. So the second reflection is, even though Vrindavan Chandra, mood of Vrindavana, even though the playing of the flute brings in union, even though the association of Krishna consciousness element reminds us of our Krishna conscious days, Krishna conscious activities, Krishna conscious relationships. The moment a person starts to exhibit some sign of accomplishment, some sign of self praise, that yes, I got. So the point we are trying to drive home is that which attracts Krishna, that which brings Krishna closer to us, that which is binding Krishna, as Bilva Mangala Thakura says, cannot sustain, cannot maintain that stance if we develop the sense of pride and arrogance. So the mood in Vrindavan was bereft of them. That is why Krishna gave in. So for us to inherit, imbibe the mood of practicing Krishna consciousness, for us to imbibe, inherit the mood of pure devotional service given by acharyas, which will eventually attract Krishna, we need to be free from whatever material as well as spiritual upadhi. When the upadhis are gone, when the traces of unwanted things are gone, in the Narada Muni's pastime, it is very wonderfully explained. Narada Muni, in his previous birth, got to see the Supreme Lord, got to hear him. But somehow or the other, when the vision of the Lord got vanished, Narada Muni did not get to see the Lord in the rest of his life, but for getting an instruction that for the rest of your life, remember that episode and constantly pray and endure, so that in your next life, we will be able to get a very special position to always be in the service of the Lord. So I want to conclude my second reflection by saying that for us to sustain this Vrindavan mood, for us to maintain this consciousness of we being the students of Bhakti school, for us to maintain this consciousness that I am servant of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, we need to hold the straw between our teeth and remain as a humble, simple servant. Otherwise, if gopis were thrown out, what to speak of us insignificant people? So this mood of Vrindavana, the mood of the relationship between Krishna and his Vrindavan Vasis, Krishna and his pure devotees, is very, very, very special. And Krishna Akarshani can happen only when there is absolute humility, absolute surrender, and absolute ownership of this relationship. Where I own, Krishna, I am your servant at any cost. I am your family at any cost. You are mine at any cost. There is no overriding rule. There is no condition that is going to override on this relationship. The third and last reflection is about the Lord's reciprocation. So it is explained that when the Lord was performing pastimes, I think I shared that in my last class, that this particular scene, when the Lord saw the full moon and Nimai started to get himself absorbed, Mother Sachi or her servants or anyone who were in the role of serving Nimai in his pastimes, they are not given access to these pastimes of the Lord. Even though when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed some of the esoteric pastimes, not everyone was party to this. Govinda Swarup Damodar Goswami, Ramananda Roy, and few of the very intimate associates were only allowed to share the private moments of the Lord. So it is explained that even though one is of course a pastime, even though Mother Sachi happens to be the mother of Nimai, she was not given access to these wonderful, confidential pastime of the Lord. Vrindavan Das Thakura is given access to this information, that which Sachi Mata is not given. It is said that Krishna is very particular in making sure what he will reveal, what he will hide, to whom he will have what relationship. Ye yatam mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. It is said that when Sachi Mata had actually scolded Advaitacharya, Nimai, your Krishna Chaitanya, at that time took the offense and he made Sachi Mata ask for forgiveness to Advaitacharya before he was normal to her. The point I'm trying to drive home here is the Lord reciprocates, reveal things only that much by which the relationship can sustain. And the side point of that is, for the relationship to get deeper, it is in the practitioner's hands, not in the hand of a Supreme Lord. As we discussed this example last time, the rain water comes and inundate the same place. In some place flower grow, in some place thorny plants grow, in some place nothing grow. So similarly, the Lord's mercy is distributed everybody equally. Depends upon the desire I hold. Depends upon the mood I hold. Depends upon the stage of spirituality I am in. I will get the reciprocation. So here Mother Sachi was not given the access to hear or see or to know that Nimai is Krishna himself, purely because it will disrupt the mood of the pastime. But if I talk about the philosophical side of it, it is also because that there are only few people who are given access to the most confidential and esoteric part. One day, Krishna wanted to actually see Srimati Radharani. So this was very regular agenda that Krishna wanted to see Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani at that time was married to Abhimanyu and she was in Yavat. So Sridama, who is Srimati Radharani's brother, one day came to Yavat to invite Srimati Radharani to her house, parental place. I think it was during Navaratri time or some period, maybe this time of the year. So Srimati Radharani was very happy that he was going to go to see her parents. Of course, she was always eager to be away from Abhimanyu and her mother-in-law and sister-in-law because of the interesting relationship that they shared. So when Srimati Radharani came home after a few days, through whatever divine arrangement, Srimati Radharani's personal meeting with Shyama Sundara was arranged. So Krishna and Radharani is meeting after a long time or I mean, long time for them could be as much as meeting each other after 3 days or after 5 days, after 2 days, sometimes even after 2 hours. It's sometimes they feel it's too long. Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishayitam sunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name. Those who are in deep love, for them, even a small, slightest separation is very intense. Anyway, so Srimati Radharani is sitting and Krishna is coming and glorifying Srimati Radharani by appreciating the moon, full moon. So Srimati Radharani, instead of being happy, she got upset. Srimati Radharani said, after all this time of our separation when we are meeting, is this all that you could give it to me? An insult? She started sobbing, weeping, crying. Krishna couldn't comprehend. So Krishna said, what did I say? I said, your face is like a full moon. You see, you look at that full moon, it has got so many spots. So you are mocking, saying that my face have got a lot of spots. So she took into another complete different tangent and she went home. Krishna is though now completely lost and he is not able to handle himself. So he is completely confused. So one of Krishna's cousin said that, okay, you seem to be completely disturbed. Let me see what I can do for you. So when she said, okay, let us do some role play and see if you are able to reach till this gopis. So they both planned and dressed up Krishna into a beautiful girl. So this cousin of Krishna dressed Krishna into a beautiful girl and they both went to where Srimati Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka and all the girls were there. So as soon as they saw these two girls, so the one Krishna's cousin, everybody knew is Krishna's cousin, they said, hey, we have a relative come to our our house. I thought I will bring her and introduce you to you all. She is a disciple of Brihaspati or some great personality. So she knows so many arts. She can sing, she can paint, she knows astrology. So several things they are glorifying. So this girls were probing in about how come she is in Vrindavan all the while, or you're saying that, so they interrogated. And finally, somehow they managed to win their confidence. While Krishna as a girl, I guess her name was some, I forgot the name, very interesting name. Kalavati or something like that. So this Kalavati, I think Kalavati, I'm right. So she started exhibiting her attributes, singing and dancing and stuff like that. So everybody got so captivated with Kalavati's personality. They fell in love for her and they got lost in that situation. So Krishna internally seeing Srimati Radharani smiling, they were all happy moments going on. But suddenly, Lalita or Vishaka, I don't know who that was, they noticed something. What did they notice? What happened was, when Krishna was dressed up like a girl, they forgot to remove Krishna's flute, which is always tucked in his dhoti. So they forgot to remove. So they dressed Krishna up as a beautiful girl, but his flute was not removed. So when Lalita witnessed this, then she called all the girls and they had whispers. They whispered each other's ears. And now they made a plan, counter plan. They said, my dear Kalavati, wow, 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 so wonderful. In return to your gesture to please us, we want to give you a very wonderful dress. Please accept them. So Krishna as Kalavati and that our friend, cousin, they were happy to accept it, but this gopis insisted that Kalavati changed the dress right there. Krishna said, don't, put me in a... Krishna initially itself told to Kalavati, to that cousin, that make sure that I don't get into another trouble because we are going to solve the trouble. So Krishna kind of was nervous. Krishna wasn't sure how to respond. So the gopis kept on insisting, please change. We are all girls. Change your dress here only. So Kalavati said that, no, give you a dress. I will go home and change it. This dress is new only. No, you please wear our dress. It will be, we will be happy, satisfied looking at you in the new dress. So they were kind of, pursuing or pushing, but somehow Krishna got caught. So when Krishna got caught and everybody, started laughing and Krishna got ashamed when he got exposed. Srimati Radharani got so much, she started smiling and laughing, and the mood became very jubilant. And that's when all the gopis made Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they placed them on a swing and they did a wonderful swing festival. And when they saw Radha and Krishna on the swing, they also got so attracted that they also started jumping on the swing. And all the gopis, it became a transcendental swing, expanding swing, that everybody jumped onto it, and there was a huge Jhulan Yatra Utsav was going on. The reason I was narrating this pastime was about the influence of flute in the gopis' lives. So Srimati Radharani, when Krishna left for Vrindavan or in another moment, she was envying this flute. My dear flute, how come you got this privilege of being always with Krishna? How come you got the privilege of the access to that place which only belongs to us? Krishna is holding, closing, keeping you very close to his lips. His lips belongs to us. How come you got the privilege? What punya, what pious activities you have done in the past? Maybe we will give up our lives right now and we will, we will take that birth as you and become Krishna's flute. So the reason Krishna gets transported to, Nimai gets transported to Vrindavan Chandra mood is the activities that he has done in Vrindavan, along with flute, along with full moon, along with all the activities, are so captivating that it is uncontrollable. How much ever you tie him off, he tends to forget. Not only Nimai as any other person. So Vrindavan mood is like that. So the point I want to say to conclude is, as a third reflection, that we develop such a desire to be the servants. The prayer that Srimati Radharani was saying, that how to become a servant of you, how to become a qualified person so that we get the same privilege as you. So let us build that desire, let us develop that mood, so that when the showers of the Lord's mercy through the form of Krishna Prem, through the form of devotional service comes our way, it will fructify enough to enable us to enter the transcendental spiritual realm. So the three reflections had three sets of pastimes that we spoke. But the first reflection establishes how Krishna gets attracted to his own pastimes and how does one get Krishna Prem. We saw that flowchart from Vaishnavas holding the Krishna Prem to them bestowing them upon us, by we accepting them, by following in their footsteps, eventually attract Krishna. And in the second reflection, we saw how for us to participate in such a Krishna Prem, in such a service, in such an activity, we need to relinquish the pride as Krishna taught them and demonstrated them. And third is, we need to develop an intense desire, intense mood that I will relinquish the pride and always want to be in the service spirit and mood as gopis, as servants of gopis, as servants and servants of gopis are always engaged in. So Vrindavan Chandra's mood, when Nimai inherits and Nimai reciprocates, Nimai reveals, Nimai responds to different people. So Krishna depends upon our desire. He will reciprocate and respond. He didn't reveal some things to some parts of the devotees. He revealed certain esoteric to only specific people. Similarly, when we have the right set of desires, right set of consciousness, and eliminate the wrong ones, we will definitely have an opportunity to be attracted by the Supreme Lord. There may be many other things in many other level of consciousness. This particular section could be discussed, but whatever I said is all what I could think of, and within my limited intelligence, I shared my reflections. If there are any questions or comments or critics, I'll be happy to respond. Over here, there is some Navratri Utsav is going on, so there may be some background noise that you all might be getting. So sorry for that. It's a very huge loudspeaker is put around our house where people are dancing for Bollywood songs to please Ma Saraswati and Kali. I do not know if they are going to get pleased or going to chop off their head for this nonsense. So pardon me for any mistakes, and I'll be happy to respond for any questions or comments. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Caitanya Bhagavat ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I was laughing because you said at the end they were dancing for the Bollywood songs. So that is the situation even for Ganesh Chaturthi, they do Ganesh Puja, but then the songs are played is not Ganesha. Okay, very nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I have one question. You have pointed out that also in the class, so that's why I'm asking. So what is the significance of doing Ekadasi to Ekadasi, Damodar? And Purnima to Purnima, why these two differences are there? Can I know from detail about it?
I am not a very good expert in the astrological as well as the Tithi calculations. There are different Vaishnava Acharyas. They've adopted different tradition, I can say. They adopt different systems. Like, for example, even in Gaudiya Vaishnava practices also, you get to see different, systems of practices in terms of observances of festival or performances of some events. So the difference between Pratipat system or Purnima system or vis-a-vis Ekadashi system is two separate set of Vaishnavas that Vaishnava tradition have initiated them. Do I know a specific reason? Maybe I can share what I could think of. It may not be authentic. It may not have any basis. Like Sharad Purnima, actually Sharad Purnima moment itself, even though it is still the month before Damodara, Sharad Purnima onwards, the Damodara Kartik mood, the celebration mood has commenced. and they take on till Rasa Purnima, and so. But the real calendar of Damodara month starts on the Ekadashi day. If you see Damodara Masa is up, it is on the Ekadashi day actually happens. Even in Ekadashi calculation, it is based on the Tithi, hour, Nakshatra, moment, several details are there. I am not an expert in this subject of astrological or calculation. Maybe there are other experts in this group, but all I was told is there are two Vaishnava traditions, and whichever tradition is followed in your own community, you have to adopt. ISKCON by and large have both the systems. So we follow the local temple's tradition, which is starting from Damodara month to Damodara, from Ekadashi to Ekadashi.
Very nice, Prabhu.
Maybe I may not.
Most
not
of the
really
calendars in
satisfied.
US, most of the calendars does not even say that Ekadasi one at all. They only show the Purnima to Purnima. So
Okay.
all the
In
US
my
calendars.
GCal, if I see, GCal very clearly says that the month of Padmanabha gets the Purnima day, the Sharad Purnima day. That day is still a Padmanabha Masa. The Damodara Masa's day 1 starts on 10th of October, Pratipad. That's the day Krishna Paksha is beginning. So, I don't know. So, maybe Bhanu Maharaj is the right person to say, or some other persons who are expert in this.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Honestly, I didn't hear the full class. I pulled into something else, and I was so worried I would miss the last 5-10 minutes when you summarized. But I'm glad that I could come back and hear the last 10 minutes of summary. So thank you so much. I know you spoke about the curbing pride, developing a submissive mode. So thank you so much, Prabhu, and also about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gets pulled into that Vrindavan mood, like how everyone gets pulled into Vrindavan, and Shashi Mata's feelings. So thank you so much. I just wanted to meet up the last 5 minutes. So thank you for the summary. Very grateful for your association, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So knowing that you are attending the session makes me a little prepared and nervous, because we have all stalwart speakers, so better not do some nonsense. So thank you so much for acknowledging whatever you're acknowledging.
Sorry, no, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
So,
There
Prabhu,
seems to be
there are
some couple
lot
of
of
questions.
chat questions. Would you like to take that, Prabhu?
Yeah. Could you please explain what is pride? Where is the seed of pride? And how we will understand I have pride, and how to correct it, to get rid of pride itself. This is 4 classes question in one question. Okay, second question is, could you please define mood? What is submissive mood and submissive attitude? There's another 3 class. So 7 classes content has to be given in answer to 2 questions to Jyoti Mataji, which I will try in my limited way. Mada, Drishta, Uddhanda are 3 forms of pride. Basically, pride is a very interesting demon within us, which does not let us come closer to Krishna. So, if someone is able to see himself in everything, then he is like, if he is able to, suppose for example, I see some object, or I see some things, I try to see them in connection with me, or how it will be beneficial to me, or how it will not be beneficial to me. If his thoughts are constantly centered around himself, the self-centered situation, thinking about oneself from a perspective of enjoying or self motivating, or not motivating, self satisfaction arrangement only as a goal, then one can understand that they have this disease of pride. And this pride also of three kinds. Mada means madness. Drishta, which means trying to have attraction, attention spanning towards oneself. Make everyone work, think around you. So Uddanda is the further intense form of pride. Raghunath Das Goswami explains these three. So the idea is, by the performance of devotional service, we kind of kill or crush this pride within our heart. The seed of the pride is something that we may need to get rid of. Upadhis. The seed of the pride is coming from upadhis, identifying ourselves with something. This is my house, my body, my phone, my relationship, my resources. So if the word my is removed and if it is replaced with Krishna, so then definitely we are much better off to handle our pride. So the detailed explanation of pride, the source of pride, is very nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita, in I guess multiple places in Bhagavad Gita. So, but the summary is that pride is that which makes us be in the center. The seed of pride is upadhi, or designation, or our associating ourselves with all the sense objects. And how will I understand I have pride? If the center of focus is not Krishna and something else, then I have pride. How to correct it? For sure, try to take a humble, simple position and lend your ears to the spiritual authorities, both for hearing from them and to be tweaked by them. Because pride is an arrogant demon, sometimes might need some tough treatment. And mood is, second question, how do you define mood? The mood is about the exact frame of mind or the consciousness one is expected to be in for pleasing the Lord. Mood is not about what I like. The mood that is spoken about in Krishna consciousness context is the consciousness or the frame of mind one need to inculcate so that the Lord or the Lord's servant is pleased. Sometimes I may not like to be in the mood of servant. Sometimes I may not be like to be in the mood of doing something menial. Sometimes I may not be like to be in the mood of not being in the self-centered. But if that's what is needed for pleasing, going forward in devotional life, we try to imbibe them so that we get what we are desiring for. So Prabhupada explains this in the introduction to Nectar of Devotion. The real mood comes in the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, and the cultivation means doing something favorable towards devotional life and removing something unfavorable for devotional life. I hope with this, your two questions are answered. If they are not, I'll be happy to respond again. Another question is, Prabhuji, I think I didn't catch few points. Please may I know what response did Radharani get from the flute, as how the flute is always in the hands of Krishna. There is a very interesting chapter called Venu Gita. So there are many such interactions, like Radharani's conversation with flute, Radharani's conversation with the bumblebee, Radharani and Vrindavan Vasis getting attracted to Krishna's ankle bells. There are many times some of the conversations are actually in one sense one-sided. The reason is the answer, by not stating the answer, by not having the answer is stated. In the sense, by Srimati Radharani longing, expressing her mood towards flute, because flute, Basuri, did not speak back and gave a response to Srimati Radharani. But the Siddhanta here is, we constantly express our desperateness, eagerness, enthusiasm to be the servant of the Supreme Lord, following in the footsteps of amazing people. If Krishna consciousness is a simple set of question and answers, then probably there is somebody will be able to answer all your questions. But Krishna did not make Krishna consciousness as a simple question and answer. Krishna made Krishna consciousness as question and experience, question and experience, question and experience. Krishna consciousness is not question and answer. Because question and answer means you are only interested in a quantitative outcome. Question and experience means I am interested in much beyond the answer. So when Srimati Radharani is asking the question itself is the answer. Because that mood of submissiveness, longingness, and eagerness itself reaches her to the position of the flute or much ahead of that. So that is what Krishna is telling to Narada Muni in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. When Krishna was answering, Narada Muni is asking question, why? You know they are longing for you. Why are you not going there? You have exhibited such a emotion of separation from gopis. Why can't you go back? You know what Krishna said? I need not go back, because if I go back, it will only intensify the problem, not reduce it. Because the moment I go, they will be happy for a moment, and the fear of that I will be leaving again will really put them in irreparable loss. But if I don't go there, just with the hope of I will come one day, they will constantly be in my thoughts. And number two, by such a thought of being in my remembrance, they will constantly be with me and I am with them. So Krishna consciousness is not a full stop. Krishna consciousness is ... Question and answer means question, question mark, answer, period. Krishna consciousness is question mark and answer is ... which means I need to experience, go on experience by just myself being in the mood of a flute, asking the flute, asking the bumblebee, asking my senior devotee, asking my guru. Ramanujacharya had a disciple by name Dasarati. He asked the question to Ramanujacharya, please explain me the purport of Sarva Dharman Parityajya Shloka. Ramanujacharya made him wait for 1 year. It's a long story. I didn't want to, digress there. We have discussed this long time back. I'm not sure how many of you know that story. Ramanujacharya made him wait 1 long year, and in that 1 year, fantastic story. Ramanujacharya made Dasarati wash pots, mop the floor, clean the toilets, fetch water for one of his disciples, Atulai. And also he made Ramanujacharya's servant Dasarathi to perform some menial service just because he asked one question. Sarva dharman paridhyajya mam ekam sharanam raja. Can you please explain the meaning? That was the question. What was the answer? 1 year of making that devotee, for Dasarathi was the foremost disciple of Ramanujacharya. 1 year he performed menial service, and at the end, Ramanujacharya responded, now I'll give you the title called Vaishnava Dasa to you, and now probably you are qualified or eligible to discuss and understand the mood and the purport of Sarva Dharman Paridhyajya. Technically, what Ramanujacharya did, he demonstrated what it means to be Sharanagati. So from that perspective, I don't know if Flute ever responded. Maybe there are other saints who have expressed some songs as a imaginary response and conversation between Flute and Radharani that I wouldn't know of. But my realization is that the question to Flute has its own answer, and hence Krishna consciousness is question and experience. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So we should be very desperate in longing for Krishna. Right? That way we should have that eagerness. No.
Yes. Thank you. Could you please tell what pious credits bamboo got that it got chance to be always with Krishna as his flute? Okay. It is like this. The flute gave himself completely in. What happened was, Krishna went to that, the bamboo tree and said, I am going to take you, I am going to process you, I am going to put holes on you. It might going to give you a lot of pain. Is it okay? And the bamboo said that if it is going to please you, okay, but what is that I will get in return? Krishna said, because you are pleasing me, because you are taking pains for me, because you are desiring to sacrifice your comfort for me, you will always be with me. One person went to a shop, a crockery shop, and if he saw beautiful crockeries, and suddenly one of the crockeries started smiling at this man. Haha, so you like me? Then he said, of course I like you. Do you know how I became this? So the crockery started narrating his own story. Actually, I was a dirt. And I was good for nothing. One fine day, this pot maker picked me up and he took me to his house. I suddenly developed some sort of a feeling of being important. So as soon as I had that little pride, he went home, poured water and started, massaging me, beating me. It gave me so much of pain. I was crying in pain. From a dirt, I became a clay. Then he started rotating me in some wheel and gave a shape to me. Even though I became humble and gave in, suddenly when I got the shape, I became once again proud. Now I see I got a shape. So this pot maker baked me in hot sun in an oven I was feeling so much of scorching heat. It was burning. But finally, when he painted on me and gave a wonderful color and shape, one wonderful color and form, I was looking beautiful. I am just a dirt by the wonderful hands of my master. Because I allowed him to work on me, I took the punishment because of the pride that I had. I went through the process of coming out of my comfort zone. As from a dirt, I became a crockery. So, in our Krishna consciousness, it is not just a, it's just not a magic wand that somebody is going to put around us. We have to go through some experience. We have to go through the experience of coming out of our comfort zone. Go through the experience of being trained and tamed by our spiritual authorities. Making sure that we become menial servants, at the same time not being exploited. It's a very interesting process. And the process is having a definite result, but unlimitedly. Not a definite result for a definite period in time. It's a definite result for independent, unlimited period in time, eternity. So that way, it's a very wonderful journey. So the bamboo gave in by, peeling off the skin, by, making holes in it, by chiseling the ends to it. So several pains that the bamboo underwent for Krishna to be able to utilize him as his eternal companion. So when we also do that in our own personal lives, I'm sure Krishna will not let us be alone. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for clarifying your my question, along with the beautiful story behind that, with the clay pot and all. So, so with this explanation, I got one more question, Prabhuji. So can I ask?
Sure,
Thank you
sure.
so much. Thank you so much. So, as you said, in bhakti, our whatever we are doing, our devotional service should be unmotivated. So, why this bamboo is asked? It developed the mood to what I'm going to get in return. So, isn't it it's not uh, I'm not able to understand. It should be unmotivated, right?
Very nice. Very nice. So, see, it's like this. Prabhupada explains in 14th chapter of Nectar of Devotion, in the first paragraph. Knowledge and renunciation are two important components for us to rise up from the stage of sense gratifier to the stage of being a sadhaka or a practicing devotee. But Prabhupada writes that just knowledge and renunciation are alone not sufficient. So one might need to develop emotion, sentiment, sincerity in his dealings with the Lord. By general definition as a sadhaka, in our initial days of being in the anartha nivritti stage, or when we are in the initial stage of getting cleansed of our vices, we are supposed to be operating more from a servant, service, and glorifying the Lord. But there's a stage in devotion which will command a personal relationship with the Lord, wherein there is a loving exchanges between the Lord. Like, for example, in Vrindavan, Krishna gets all the more excited when Krishna is teased upon. Krishna gets all the more excited when Krishna is, made to do some punishment, Krishna gets all the more excited when he is treated as a junior, as a son, as a friend. And several people asked several things from Krishna. They snatched away from Krishna. Today, as a sadhaka, as a practicing devotee, we need to operate on a particular scale. Which scale is called Dasya Bhav. That is why Prabhupada taught the deity worship in all the temples that we are currently doing. Even though we may worship Radha and Krishna, the deity worship is in the mood of Lakshmi Narayana, Dasya, which means master servant. I cannot ask anything to my master. He is my master, I am servant. Nothing expected. But the moment we cross the barrier, we gone into the stage of beyond Nishta and Ruchi, getting into the stage of Bhava. When our Swarupa, when our nature or constitutional natures are revealed, that's when we are given the privilege to participate in a dialogue with Krishna. Now our dialogues are either demands or requests or clarification or some fixing in our lives. But once we develop that relationship beyond us, above materialistic needs, then that request or demand from the Lord is not for personal agenda, it is for the transcendental agenda. In the sense, by the virtue of the bamboo asking Krishna that what will I get in return, it is not, from the context of it, it is not meant to give a rishwat, a bribe or a price for the sacrifice. It is to say that can I, now that we are closely related, can I always accompany you? Can I be with you? Can you give me something by which I will always have your remembrance and presence? So that is taken as one aspect, one form of expression of our love for Krishna, which Krishna acknowledges. Krishna does not like asking him. I wouldn't say does not like. It will not be his main agenda to fulfill our materialistic needs. If you ask him, he will give that also. But he'll be all the more happy if you ask him something for, So the point of uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service means uninterrupted by materialistic things, unmotivated for materialistic results. You go and ask Krishna, Krishna, can I sing a song for you? Can you please facilitate something so that I can always be doing some boga for you? It's all for Krishna. I was talking the other day in the Sunday program in our congregation. All the time, when we cry and weep and pray to Krishna, we are with Krishna for us. The day when we cry and pray, we are with Krishna for him. Then the entire scheme of things has changed. Today, also I am with Krishna, but my conversation are with him for me. When your conversation with him for him, then it is glorious. So by the virtue of the flute asking, what will I get? The flute was not trying to say, I will get a profile. I will be able to serve. In what way I can be able to serve? Please, more and more, please. Again and again, continuously, please. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this wonderful session and clarifying so beautifully to my answer. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, any other questions or comments?
There is one raised hand, Prabhuji. Jyoti Mataji, please go ahead.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare
Prabhuji, could you please just mention something about submissiveness in Krishna consciousness? I'm begging for all the answers because it's so beautiful. It's really, I'm just happy. I don't know. It's a bliss or something, but I'm really happy. I just don't know it's a bliss or not. Thank you so much. Eternally grateful to you.
See, the submissiveness topic is a very intense and deep topic. There are different layers of submissiveness. That's what I said. The story that I didn't narrate, I narrated in one of the earlier sessions.
For a neophyte to understand, just
for a neophyte to understand,
some
submissiveness means executing the orders of the spiritual master. That's all. What the spiritual master is asking, what Srila Prabhupada has said, what your Gurudev has said, executing them intelligently, not sentimentally or not with infatuation. Because intelligently, Prabhupada always wanted, Krishna always wanted his students to be intelligent enough to apply the instructions. So for us, surrender means, submissiveness means that executing the orders. Executing the orders, first foremost executing order is following the 4 regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds. That's where submissiveness starts. I give you an advice. If a patient goes to a doctor and the doctor gives a prescription, after 15 days, you go back to the doctor and say, doctor, my problem is not solved. The first question the doctor will ask is, I gave you a prescription 15 days before. Did you follow them? If you say no and ask for further medicines, probably you may not get prescription, or you may get further, lower or further, simpler or further a neophyte stage of instructions only you will get. So Prabhupada says the first stage of our submissiveness, first stage of our surrender to this process is to say Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because the mantra says, my dear Lord, please engage me in your service and follow 4 regulative principles, which means I'm committed to uphold dharma. So once that part is taken care, the next part is, that's why you see Prabhupada what he did. Prabhupada gave holy name, then Prabhupada gave 4 regulative principles, then Prabhupada gave service opportunity, then Prabhupada gave books, then they all became happy. Holy name, 4 regulative principle made them eligible to participate in service. And holy name and following 4 regulative principle along with the service made them understand the Siddhanta. And holy name, following 4 regulative principle, performing service, and when they understood Siddhanta, then the life got transformed. That's where hippies became happies. In our own life also, the scenario is same. Chant, avoid sinful activities, perform service, hear Krishna Katha. You will see a 360-degree change in your life, and submissiveness is incremental from that perspective. At every stage in life, the definition of submissiveness varies. Make sense?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Koti Dandavat Pranam. And so much.
Okay, any other questions or comments from anyone else?
No more questions, Prabhuji, no more raised hands, and no questions in the chat also. So we can close the call here. I would like to offer my obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav vrinda ki jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Praise
Jai.
Ramgiridhari Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu, once again for such a beautiful class and nice question and answers.
Question and answers.
Closing the call, dear devotees, for today. We will meet tomorrow.